Oh, what a lovely morning. Good day, Sarah. We have a lot of things to do. Are you excited? Because I am. Oh yeah, I forgot he left. I wonder how things are going for him.
I still can't believe those assholes left me behind. I'm one of their most important demons and they just forgot me. Once I arrive at the headquarters, they will—
Excuse me, sir. Would you like a bag of peanuts?
I'm allergic, miss. Thank you though. Where was I? Oh yeah, they will know my wrath.
Meh, he must be fine. Okay, so let's see what people want to see today. Oh, this is going to be interesting. On many occasions, I talk about how Megaten has some of the most disgusting normal and super bosses in the JRPG industry. What makes a boss so infamously known outside of the community mostly depends on its gimmick, how casually friendly it is, its hidden arsenal, and so much more. Months ago, I made an entire video dedicated to the most bastard ones. Bosses that are a nightmare to win against, but feel like a complete achievement once you see them die or on their knees. But what if there was a boss so infamous for being so fucking hard, so not casual friendly, and pretty much impossible to beat because of a horrible programming design? Sup guys? Carlos here. Today we'll take a look at the most broken boss in Megaten. A boss that, finding it under normal conditions, is straight up impossible to beat. Before doing that though, I feel it's fitting I briefly talk about the 4 super bosses Atlus dropped after the video I made in May, just to give you a comparison of how much this unfair bitch is. This video required a lot of research, something that will make sense once I talk about who this mysterious bitch of a boss is. So, to make this video possible in time, I'll use Buffmeister and Higemaru's videos. Thank you so much guys, you guys are the freaking best. One last thing, as I said seconds ago, making this video required a lot of research. I would really appreciate if you could support this channel by pressing the like button, leaving a comment down below, and subscribing to it to let the algorithm know I am back. Oh, and if you live in this country, I have a little surprise at the end of this video. Now, it's time to make the world know how a single boss has the power to soft-lock an entire video game. The most broken, buggiest, and unfair boss in Megaten. Let's fucking do this. Something I forgot to mention while working on the SMT5 Vengeance Honest Verdict script is, Atlus not only created another story and characters, but it also created 2 new super bosses. Seiran for the new route, aka Canon of Vengeance, and the other for the original route, Canon of Creation. Seiran isn't a complex super boss unlike others seen in this franchise, but he hits way too hard with his Megiddo arc, and his gimmick is quite interesting. Each time you kill any of his allies, he will summon another one, and every 3 turns he will sacrifice one of them to absorb its HP and Magatsugi skill. The Magatsugi skill Seiran absorbs go from annoying to extremely lethal for your ass. Seiran is a difficult super boss, but it's piss easy compared to... Fuck, I don't want to remember the pain it was to beat this asshole. Masakado doesn't have a crazy gimmick if we don't consider the fact that that bastard has 7 fucking press turns if you decide to fight his true form after completing a side quest on Canon of Vengeance. But hey, at least he's weak to every attack in the game that isn't an ailment one. Masakado hits hard, and I mean really fucking hard. Not only he has Yarama, physically oriented elemental attacks, and Frey Kugel, but he also has a unique move called Recalcitrant Execution, a severe almighty attack that hits all foes with a high chance of crit. That's not all though. Masakado's innate skill is Scarlet Blade, which increases his critical damage and critical rate based on the amount of active effects he has. Masakado is a monster, as an ally and as an enemy. Yet, he and Seiran might be the easiest bosses in Megaten if we put them on the same side hat. I still can't believe Atlus put Joker from Smash Ultimate in the Persona 3 Reload DLC as a secret boss. And you wanna know the funniest part of it? This guy might be the hardest boss in the Persona series. When this guy was revealed to be the super boss on The Answer, no one thought it would be the nightmare it is. The Atlus executives absolutely took the time to research each one of the super bosses' rules they had worked on and said, let's make another one. But worse. Just look at the rules this fight has. It even has 3 new ones if you are fighting him on the hardest difficulty. Joker is stupid, by far the hardest super boss released this year. The contestant to receive Game of the Year this year also has a super boss, a motherfucking dragon, who is one of the most pathetic super bosses in Megaten. What the fuck, this is just a normal dragon, painted red! The dragon has rules that will end up in an insta-kill if you don't obey, but you're probably never gonna be insta-killed by it because archetypes are so broken that delete any enemy without giving them a chance to counterattack. Now that I think about it, each one of these super bosses can be easily cheesed for how broken the mechanics are in Megaten. Wish that was the case for today's boss though. Now that I've briefly talked about the super bosses released this year, it's time to talk about the biggest bitch in this series. A motherfucker so terrifying that I'm glad barely anyone knows its existence. No one has ever made a video about this boss, and it's very surprising considering how popular this game is in the community. A game that hasn't been translated completely into English yet in any of these versions, something fewer games from this series could say. You may be wondering at this point, what Megaten am I even talking about? The game in question is Kitten Megami Tensei Tokyo Mokushiroku, specifically the Windows version for reasons I'll mention later. We all know why this game is so popular nowadays. Sex gore. One of the most underrated games in the franchise that remains a hidden gem because of the language barrier. Gitten is the most underappreciated game in the series in my opinion. The world building, characters and story are some of the best from Megaten, but one point that no one takes the time to talk about is the bosses. Unlike most of the games from this franchise, in Gitten, killing each one of those motherfuckers is personal. They have done unimaginable damage to our protagonist, Ayato Katsuragi, that he's on a revenge mission to take down every single one of them. One of those bosses though will make his life miserable in multiple occasions during his journey. That boss, ladies and gentlemen, is Dantalion, the most broken boss in the history of Megaten. All the information you're gonna hear about Dantalion was a collaboration between my pal Hijo and Higemaru. Thanks guys, and my own discoveries after recording the footage you're gonna watch. And yes, I actually fought Dantalion, and I can guarantee this demon is impossible without previous preparations. Kitten is a 10-hour game if you know what to do and where to go, and in those 10 hours, Dantalion appears twice. The first time after coming back from the dead and escaping the attack shelter where you live on, yeah, long story. 30 minutes later, his labor camp, and at the endgame on Bale's castle. On his first fight, he isn't menacing at all if we consider he's weak against any physical attack, and you could lose against him and the story will proceed regardless. But on his second fight, this son of a bitch prepared his favorite protein shake, went to a fucking gym, started doing the exercise routine of his life, and watched the most recent video from Andrew Tate because this asshole received the biggest buff seen in this franchise, doubling most of his stats, quadrupling his health points, became neutral to any physical attack, and gaining access to second tier spells in just 30 motherfucking minutes! The worst shit that no one tells you though is the fact that all the bosses in this game are slightly bulkier than a common enemy, resulting in a boss with 400 HP, 30 vitality, and reduced damage due to fuck you, he's a boss and you're gonna suffer for it. I'm sure some of you are thinking, there are worse bosses with most inflated stats than that. This video is clickbait. And yeah, you may be, although the worst part is coming right now. Kitten Megami Tensei's gameplay is completely different from any Megaten seen at this point. It's very similar to Final Fantasies. After every action, the humans, enemy, and allied demons stay in a cooldown mode for a short period, Which means, if you take too long to choose an option, the enemy will keep attacking once the cooldown is gone. What determines the cooldown time isn't the game itself, but rather the internal CPU clock. And this is exactly why Dantalion is impossible. Giten Megami Tensei's battle speed is determined by the internal CPU clock, which, translated into words that anyone can understand, if your computer is slightly faster, powerful, and overall better than a computer from the 90s, the enemy cooldown time will be shorter. That doesn't sound that bad. What's the problem then? Any computer is faster, powerful, and way better than one from the 90s. The enemies barely have cooldown to stop them. Giten Megami Tensei is considered an easy game, but Dantalion's second fight on the Windows version is straight out impossible for 4 reasons. The PC98 version doesn't have this problem. This version adjusts the gameplay speed depending on your internal CPU clock automatically. It maintains the intended original speed that was programmed. If you watched my most broken skill in Megaten video, you might remember I talked about a spell from this game called Mahoroji, a spell that seals your magic for the entire fight in exchange for being immune to any magic spell that isn't almighty. In the PC98 version, you could cheese the entire game by casting Mahoroji on any enemy or boss and start attacking it with physical attacks. This strategy was so broken that was patched in the Windows version, making it a spell that only can be cast on self. Dantalion is one of the most dominant difficulty spikes in the game, with other 3 bosses sharing the same problem, although to a lesser extent. But none of them can compare to the bullshitness and inflated stats this asshole has. You are way too underleveled. Dantalion is level 25 on his fight, plus his stats are way over the top, while your team composed of Ayato, Emi, Tatsuya, Tetsuya, and Koki's levels will be between 9 and 15, numbers way too low, meaning way lower stats to tank Dantalion's attacks. Dantalion is impossible. The Windows version is straight up unplayable because of him. How are you supposed to beat a monster that won't let you breathe calmly for a mere second? Well, there are actually 2 methods to beat him. The easiest and modern method and the Megaten method, aka the most masochist shit ever. The easiest method ever is just use the patch that comes inside the abandoned translation for this version. With this patch, you can adjust the enemy cooldown speed as you like. You can make this game straight up impossible by reducing the cooldown speed to 5, which will end up with any demon from this game attacking as if they were a fucking machine gun, or you could increase the cooldown speed so high that the enemies won't attack you at all, making this game suitable for video game journalists. Fun fact about this patch, it was made in 2012 by a group of people who were working on remaking this game, but it was cancelled. Before 2012, the only way to beat Dantalion's second rematch was by using the next method I'll explain, or buying a computer from the 90s. This is a comment from a Japanese forum. Someone actually bought a computer just to beat this son of a bitch. Oh my fucking... If you really hate yourself, the second method to beat this fucker is also available. Let me warn you first, this one requires a shit ton of grind to accomplish. First, you must grind Ayato at least to level 25 before the invasion to your home shelter, which is like not even an hour into the game by using the virtual trainer and defeating the boss in it multiple times. Then you're gonna enter the virtual trainer without equipment. The game will give you equipment more powerful than the ones acquired at that point of the game. Once you are fully equipped, you have to confront Dantalion when there is a new moon. During a new moon, his attacks will be weaker compared to full moon. The first thing you have to do is cast Mahoroji on yourself to nullify any magic attack from Dantalion and start spamming the most powerful physical attack Ayato has. I believe it's Musha will. If the RNG loves you, Dantalion will upload a video to YouTube with the best clips of him sniping your cameras before he kills you in 2 blows. If he kills you, try again with the same strategy. If you manage to win, which is easier said than done, you will receive a pathetic amount of experience for yourself because your cameras will be dead for being too underleveled. You can watch all of this bullshit and tell me this boss wasn't play tested. This boss was such an oversight that made the Windows version unplayable if it wasn't for the dedicated Giten community that wanted this game to be played by everyone. for being the worst program boss in the whole series. Dantalion 2 is the most broken boss seen in Megaten. If this video caught your interest for Beaten Megami Tensei, I invite you all to download the PC98 version, now that the whole story was translated into English. Wait, the video's over? Sorry I didn't appear that often today. I've been looking for a new partner now that Seiran is gone, and after many interviews with charismatic personalities, I found my perfect partner to work with in future videos. Would you like to say some words, Ronde? It's so perfect.
I'm finally here. They will never forget me after this visit. I need to talk with your boss, now.
Sir, you aren't allowed to be here. Besides, the boss isn't here.
Call it then. I'll wait. You.
I wanted to make this video for so long. I left Dantalion out of the video I uploaded back in May, and surprisingly no one pointed out. I knew it was unknown by the majority of the people of the fanbase, but that unknown, it really surprised me. At the beginning of the video I said I have a little surprise if you live in Chile. And well, now is the time to reveal it. This video is sponsored by me. Look, some of you asked me to open a Patreon, YouTube member, or any other page to support this channel to make videos more often. But being honest with you, neither of those options makes me feel comfortable. So, how can you support this channel and receive something in return? I recently opened an Instagram page offering all of my Megaten merch I collected over the past few years, and I'm selling all of them. If you are interested in anything I have, contact me there and I'll give you a 10% off if you are subscribed to this channel. I could offer international shipping, but it won't be worth it for how expensive they are. The link to my Instagram page will be in the description. The original part of this moment was supposed to be me saying Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, but we are already in 2025. But I really hope I can upload videos more often this year, or at least upload 4 videos that require a bit of editing. This year is gonna be busy for me, but I'm motivated to make things right. I hope you enjoyed this video today, and we'll see us again in the next one. Goodbye.